Everything worth doing has a small, scary first step. There was a version of me that wanted to surf for probably 10 years before I ever actually did it, and I'm not exaggerating. I wanted it as a kid playing video games about it. I wanted it as a teenager watching people do it in movies. I wanted it every single time I was near an ocean and saw somebody paddle out and make it look effortless. And for 10 years, I did nothing about it. Not because I couldn't afford a lesson, a lesson was like $90 a person. Not because there was no ocean, not because I didn't have time. I did nothing about it for 10 years because I didn't feel cool enough to do it. That's the real reason. Let's just be honest about it. I was afraid I'd paddle out there in front of actual surfers in a beach full of strangers, and I'd flail around like a wet cat, and everyone would see that I was bad at it. So instead of being bad at it for 2 hours one time, I chose I want it and not have it for a decade. That's the trade I actually made, even though I never said it out loud. 10 years of wanting to avoid 2 hours of being visibly not good. And I finally did it. When I actually booked the lesson and paddled out, yeah, absolutely looked like a water skiing squirrel out there. It was the best day of my year. Wasn't even close. The thing I avoided for 10 years because it was scary turned out to be the exact reason I'd been missing. And the scary part that I built up into this enormous wall in my head, it lasted about 90 seconds. That's how long it took to stop caring whether anyone was watching. 90 seconds against 10 years. So, this video is about that gap. Because I think it's one of the biggest, most invisible things stealing good experiences from people, and almost nobody talks about it. Because it's a little embarrassing to admit. We tell ourselves the barrier to the good stuff is money, time, logistics, and sometimes it is. But a huge amount of time is, if we're really honest, the barrier is much smaller and much dumber than that. The barrier is that the first step requires you to be bad at something in front of other people. And being bad at something in front of other people feels like dying. Let me actually break it down and tell you what's happening, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Every single thing worth doing has its first step. That first step is always the worst thing you'll be bad at. Think about that. The very first time you try something, you are, by definition, at your all-time low. You've never been worse. And usually that first step doesn't happen in private. You start going to the gym and you don't know how any of the machines work, and you're surrounded by people who clearly do. You take a chance at a class, and every move you make, you're a foot behind on every count. You try to speak another language, you're learning the words, and they come out mangled and slow, while a real speaker patiently waits on you. You post the first video, you play the first open mic, you show up to run club, and finish last. The first step is public, and it's ugly, and every instinct in your body is screaming that everyone is watching and judging, and that you should leave immediately and never come back. And so most people don't take that step. Not because they don't want the thing on the other side of it, they desperately want the thing on the other side. They just can't get through the 90 seconds of being visibly new, so they stay wanting for years, and sometimes forever. Here's what I've realized about fear though, and this is the part that actually changes things for me. The fear is built almost entirely on a lie, and the lie is that everyone is watching you. They're not. I promise you, on everything they are not. Everyone at that gym is thinking about their own workout and how they look. Everyone in that class is worried about their own two left feet. The surfers in the water are not tracking the guy who couldn't stand on his board because they're busy surfing. This is called the spotlight effect, and it's one of the most well-documented things in all of psychology. We massively, wildly overestimate how much other people are noticing of us and evaluating us. You are the main character in your own movie. In everyone else's movie, you're an extra who walks through one scene and is immediately forgotten. So, the entire wall, the thing that kept me out of the water for 10 years, was built out of an audience that mostly wasn't paying attention. I was performing for a crowd that didn't exist, and that is such a stupid way to lose a decade that once it clicked, I got kinda angry about it. How many things had I not done? And how much of my life have I quietly handed over to fear of being judged by people who were just not judging me? Now I have to pause and say the thing because I don't want this to be one of those videos that pretends everyone's situation is the same. For some people, the fear of being bad in public isn't a small, silly thing. It's genuine. Heavy social anxiety, the kind that makes your chest tight and your hands shake, that's real, and I'm not going to hand wave it away with just do it, bro. If that's you, this isn't a lecture, and The answer might be smaller steps than the ones I'm describing, or actual support. There's no shame in that at all. But there's a much bigger group of people who don't have clinical anxiety. They just have a normal, universal, completely ordinary discomfort with looking dumb. And they've quietly let that ordinary discomfort make enormous decisions about their entire life. That's who I'm talking to, and there's a good chance that's you, because it absolutely was me. Because here's what the discomfort actually costs you, and it's more than just the one experience. Every time you avoid the scary first step, you're not just skipping surfing or dancing or the gym. You're reinforcing a belief about yourself that you're the kind of person who doesn't do new things, who watches instead of does, who wants instead of has. And that belief compounds. It gets easier and easier to say no because you've built an entire identity about being the person who says no. Meanwhile, the people you envy, the ones who seem to do everything and try everything, and have all the stories, they're not braver than you, and they don't feel less fear than you. They've just gotten comfortable about being bad at things in public, and that one single skill that unlocks basically everything else. That's a whole difference. That's it. They're willing to be a beginner where people can see. Being willing to be bad in public, I'm convinced, is one of the highest leverage skills a person can have. And nobody teaches it because it's not really a skill you learn. It's a fear you practice walking through until it shrinks. And it does shrink. That's the thing. It shrinks fast. The first scary step is terrifying. The second one is a little less bad because now you have proof that you survived the first. By the fifth or sixth time you've deliberately done something you were bad at in front of people, the fear stops being a wall. It starts being a speed bump. You still feel it. You never stop feeling it. You start to almost realize it's a signal, like, oh, I'm nervous about doing a dumb thing here, which probably means this is the exact kind of thing I'll be glad I did. The fear flips from a stop sign into a green light, and once that flips, your whole life opens up, because suddenly there's no experience that's off limits. Just because you'd start bad at it, every experience starts out bad. So basically everything opens up. I want to make this concrete because I know how easy it is to nod along at a video like this and go do absolutely nothing differently. So here's the challenge, and it's built specifically around fear, not around the activity. I want you to do one thing this week that you've been avoiding purely because you'd be visibly bad at it. Not something hard, not something expensive, something where only real obstacle, if you're honest, is that you might look dumb doing it. Go to the class, go to the gym, use the machine you don't understand, show up to the beginner run, order the coffee in the language you've been learning, post that one thing, go to the open mat, the poetry class, the climbing gym. Just go. The group you've been lurking on for months without ever going. Pick the one thing where your stomach dropped a little when I described it, because that drop is a map. That drop is pointing directly at the thing you actually want and have been avoiding. And here's the one rule that makes it work. Go in fully expecting to be bad. Not hoping to be secretly good, just be bad. Give yourself permission before you even walk in to be the worst person in the room. Because most people torpedo the first step by expecting themselves to be decent immediately. And then the second they're not, the embarrassment confirms all their fears and they never go back. If you walk in having already decided, I'm going to be bad at this, and that's the entire point, the embarrassment has nothing to grab onto. You can't be humiliated by being exactly as bad as you plan to be. You disarm the whole thing in advance. The other thing that helps, honestly, is to just watch how nobody cares. Go do the scary thing and actively pay attention to how little nobody else reacts. Nobody laughs, nobody's filming you, nobody points. Most people are either not noticing at all or they're quietly rooting for you because everyone in that room was a beginner once and they remember exactly how it felt. The imagined audience of critics turns out to be, at worst, a room of indifferent strangers, and at best, a room full of people who are genuinely glad you showed up. Either way, the monster you built inside your head isn't there when you actually walk in. I keep coming back to the surfing thing because it's the clearest example I have. 10 years of waiting versus 90 seconds of fear versus the best day of my life, and on the other side of it, the ratio is insane. I don't think surfing is special. I think almost everything good works exactly like that. The fear is loud and short. The wanting is quiet and long. In the experience, the real thing you actually wanted is sitting right there on the other side. That first step that feels enormously, and is actually really tiny. So let me leave you with a thing you can do today, right now. Because inspiration without a step is just a nice feeling that fades by tonight. First, name it. What's the thing you've wanted to try, but you haven't? Where the honest reason is that you'd be bad at it in front of people. Just name it. To yourself or in the comments. Naming it strips off because once you say it out loud, you can't keep pretending the barrier is money or time. Second, the first step on the calendar this week. Not someday, a day. Book the class, find the meetup, set the reminder, tell a friend so you can't quietly back out. The step is small. It's supposed to be small. Small and scary is the whole formula. The smallness is what makes it doable, and the scariness is what makes it worth doing. Because fear was never actually protecting you from anything. It was just charging you a decade and avoid 90 seconds. And don't have to keep paying it. You can walk through the scary little door basically whenever you decide the thing on the other side is worth 90 seconds of being a water skiing squirrel. And I'm telling you, the other side of a lot of those doors now almost always is. So tell me in the comments, what's the thing you've been avoiding purely because you'd be bad at it in public? And for anyone who's already pushed through something like this, what was the other side of the door for you? Your comment might be the exact push someone else needs to finally book the thing this week. If you want to work through this stuff with people doing the same, our Discord is linked below. If you got something out of this, subscribe, drop a like, and honestly, go aim your thing. That's the part that matters. Thanks, guys.